Hello and welcome back to LTC Heroes Live by Experience Care. My name is Peter Murphy-Lewis. I'm your host. I'm at LeadingAge Nebraska. It's day 3, and I have been on a whirlwind tour of interviewing a lot of great leaders in Nebraska. And today, this is no different. I'm talking to Miranda Isernhagen. Yes, RN Administrator at Parkview Haven in Meadowlark Heights. Miranda, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Let's start off with your role as a board member. Tell me what LeadingAge Nebraska is focused on this year. What are the challenges you're excited to take on?
LeadingAge Nebraska is just very great. We have wonderful education opportunities. We try to help all facilities grow. We have lots of invaluable resources for them, which is wonderful. Like during COVID, I would not have made it through without the help of LeadingAge. If you're a member, you get access to the members only site, and there's all kinds of education, tools, policies, things you can use. It's just wonderful.
I'm glad you brought up tools right away, because yesterday I interviewed Janine from LeadingAge National, and she walked me through the great tools that they've been building out. And you know, the reason I want to start off right away with what you like about it is because yesterday I met Lynn West, and she's a brand new member, and she just talked about how great the community is. Tell me about how long you've been in LeadingAge and what part of the community you most enjoy about it.
We've belonged to Parkview Haven and Meadowlark Heights, have belonged to LeadingAge National for as long as I can remember, and LeadingAge Nebraska. I came to the board about 5 years ago. Actually, the lady that had trained me, because I was an RN, so who did my preceptorship to become an administrator, she was getting off of the board, and so she told them to ask me to be on the board, and so that's kind of how that happened. So about 5 years I've been active on the board, and it's just really taught me a lot. You know, you learn a lot about policy and other things that I maybe wasn't so involved in before. And there's just, as a member, there's just so many benefits, like I said before. So
let's go to your initiation story. Tell me how you got into long-term care.
Okay, so back when I was in high school, I live in Deschler, which is a small town of about 800 people. Might have been a little bigger then. And I was in high school and needed a job. So I went to my local nursing home, put in my application, was hired, and worked there as a CNA from the time I was 16 to the time I went to LPN school. I stayed on PRN, went to LPN school, graduated with my LPN in 2000, and then I moved to Lincoln for a little bit to work at the dialysis center, and then I came back home, worked as an LPN at the nursing home and as an RN, and I actually left in 2005 to go work in long-term care and get some experience. And I came back in 2012, and I've been back ever since.
In acute, right?
Yeah, in acute. Sorry, did I say long-term?
Yeah,
acute.
So what brought you back?
The people. It's home. You know, my husband and I were both raised in Deschler, and that's like our grandparents that I'm taking care of. You know, they're all like our grandma and grandpas and our family. And honestly, you know, I never thought about being a nursing home administrator. That was never on my radar. You know, I was a nurse. But our longtime administrator retired, and we were having trouble finding somebody who wanted to come to the small community. We had a guy that we hired for a while. He was wonderful, but he only stayed about 4 months, you know. And so they said, why don't you do it? You know, and I said, because I'm a nurse, you know. And then I thought about it a lot, prayed about it, talked to my husband about it, and decided that's what God wanted me to do. So
that's a beautiful story. Tell me about what makes you all different. What's the uniqueness of your organization that makes you very proud? Like if I were a 17-year-old CNA and I was thinking about working for you, what would be my first impression when I get to know your team and the way you take care of residents?
Well, of course, I think, you know, we have the best facility and the best team. My staff are amazing. I had not used any agency for 5 years, and that is all attributed to my staff. When we have open shifts, they jump in, they pick them up, they'll work, you know, 12, 16-hour shifts, whatever they need to do, because that's their family, you know, and they treat them like their family. I think when you walk in our door, first of all, it's clean, it smells good, my housekeepers are amazing, you know, all my staff's amazing. And I think it's a very family-oriented atmosphere, and when you walk in our door, we want you to feel like you're our family.
Tell me about what you think, especially since you have experience in acute and post-acute, what are the characteristics of a great frontline caregiver in long-term care?
They have to be very flexible because things are always changing. They need to be very compassionate and caring. They need to take their time and be slow, not rush, an elderly person when they're getting them ready. And, also in this day and age, one of the very important things is them coming to work, being there on time, the dependability. And I have that. I have staff that have been there for 40 years. Most of my staff have been there 15. I've got a lot of 20. I just have longevity with my staff.
Let's do a moment of a shout out of someone that you were thinking of that's just really special. And they don't have to be even a CNA. They don't have to be in the clinical. Just someone that is the epitome of the values of your organization. And just so your team knows, I'm not going to let you say more than 2 or 3. You don't have to list 50 teammates. Yeah. Who really stands out that you feel like you even learned from?
Oh, they're all great. They're all great. But honestly, the CNAs right now, I feel like their job is extremely hard because we have call-ins and, they're pushed to do more with less every day. And they show up and suit up. And honestly, I have several that have been great about helping me in picking up shifts. Christina Lupin and Kaylee Horsechief have been great about picking up shifts, and they're not the only ones.
We need to get them on this program.
Yeah, I plan on having them. And then Marisol Sherman, she's another one who actually I think she's picking up this evening, I heard, because we were short. So I would love to have all my CNAs interviewed. They're all great.
That's fantastic. Tell me about a story that you have, a residential story where it marked your life. Either you learned something from them, or maybe you learned that you were great at this.
There's just been so many.
Is there one from your first year when you were a CNA?
Just being able to maybe help residents get ready for family events, when they're going out with their family, just being able to do that little extra, doing their hair and their makeup, helping them find a neat outfit. And just when they say thank you or their families say thank you, I'm glad you're here. Or thank you for taking such good care of mom and dad. Those are the things that mean the most.
I was going to ask you specifically about the words of family. I know when I became a CNA, I was constantly looking for the approval of the person who was training me, because Robert was such a great CNA, and when he told me that I had it, I felt like my day was made. Mm-hmm. Can you think of some specific words of a family that came in and either their family member passed or their family member was well taken care of, and they looked at you in the eyes in a certain way and they said something unique to you?
Oh, honestly, over the years, there's just been so many. There just has. One thing that stood out, and this wasn't me, but one of my nighttime CNAs, we had a resident that was dying, and his wife couldn't drive at night because she can't see well. And on her supper break, she left the facility and went and picked up that lady so she could be with her husband when she go. That's enough to staff me.
Yeah, I want to ask you about your favorite part of the job, right? Let's say that you do 50 hours next week. What's the 1 hour in that week that you're like, man, I would do this for free? It is fulfilling.
Honestly, it's when I'm with my residents. When I get to go out in the dining room and visit with them, or, I have a really confused resident that cries a lot. And, I love when I give her a hug, and she hugs me back, or when she sees my kids come in, because my son, he's 10, he'll come in and she just hugs him and loves him, So just being able to make her day a little bit better.
And I think you'll be able to answer this question because I know that you were in the workshop that I did the other day about telling our story and attracting the younger generation. So I'm going to ask you about the intangibles of this job. What are the aspects of this job that you can't really write in paper, that don't really make sense? They don't look like an extra amount of money on your hourly rate or your salary that's changed you as a human being when you go home.
Just helping other people. When somebody can't do stuff for themselves and you're able to help them, and just the look they give you or the hug or saying thank you, the families coming in, that makes it all worth it.
Well, Miranda, thank you so much for joining LTC Heroes. It was a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for inviting the LTC Heroes to your convention as a board member.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it.